Yep. Awesome week to open SEC play. We're excited about that within the program, and I know our fans are excited. It's a great opportunity for our team to travel to Auburn for the first time, I believe, in school history. It's obviously a good matchup between two SEC teams, and excited that we get a chance to be on ESPN. Obviously, I know Coach Harsin very well, indebted to him and his wife, Kess, and got 3 great children. You know, Coach Harsin gave me an opportunity and believed in me when not very many other people did, and really kept me in college football in 2013. And so I'm very appreciative to him for that, and will always be indebted to him in the opportunity that he gave me and my family to stay in college football. And so have a lot of respect for him as a football coach and as a person. He's got a tough football team. They've got some really talented players on both sides of the ball and in the special teams phases. They've got good schemes and coaches. They're going to have a great atmosphere. But with all due respect, the challenge is really internal for us. How much do we improve this week? How much better can we get? And really all of our focus is on that. We need to get better really in all 3 phases at the fundamentals, at blocking on the perimeter, on catching the football, on delivering the football on time, on defense, our tackling angles, staying on top of routes, not turning back and getting our eyes to the quarterback too soon on deep balls, making sure we have ball disruption plays, on special teams covering kicks, making sure that we read hold up versus rush on our punt team, making the right decision as a returner. And so really our team's attitude and our focus is that's all within our control, and that's what we're focused on this week, and really excited to get going on that journey. It started yesterday. Our guys have already been in for weights this morning, and we'll have a team meeting at 1:45 to continue our focus on improvement. So with that, I'll open it up for questions.
Coach, you mentioned a couple times how you're indebted to Coach Harsin.
Yep.
In 2013, where were you at? Because you kept saying he kept you in college football. What were you thinking about at that time?
Yeah, at the end of the 2012 season, Coach Malzahn had been hired at Auburn, and at that point had been offered a position as really an off the field guy in operations at Auburn, and interviewed for a position on the field at Arkansas State with newly hired Brian Harsin. Didn't know Coach Harsin, never met him, had no connection to him. Interviewed for the job, and he kept me on, gave me a chance as the running backs coach, co-offensive coordinator, and so that's kind of how that worked out.
I think that when your first press conference, somebody asked about your offense, and you said it was kind of a mix of what you learned from Gus and from Brian.
Yeah.
What specifically? I mean, what did you learn from him about offensive football, and how much of your next few years was that a part of what you did?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's all kinds of things when you watch and see how, obviously I learned the Boise State offensive philosophy and model, and then our task in 2013 was to take the Boise State and add tempo and being able to play in kind of a no-huddle open style, which is what Coach Malzahn had learned from him. And so that's really what I'd learned. And then obviously now through the course of however many different coaches have come in and out and worked with me, we've developed our pro tempo style. But when you really dig it down to the core, there's going to be some of the same things that we all believe in, downhill runs, controlled pass game, vertical throws off play action, and then we all love tricks and specials.
I know, obviously, neither one of you guys is going to do the same things you did 7 years ago or whatever, but when you are going against a guy that you're both kind of familiar with each other, is there anything different about kind of the chess match going into a game like that?
I don't think so. I think we're both focused on attacking the other team's schemes, and both of us have evolved so much. I mean, football's evolved so much since 2013. that I doubt, or even 2015, the last time we coached together. I mean, that's over 7 seasons ago. There's a lot of things that have changed.
Eli, going back to Auburn, for you, just how much of a career risk was that when you took that QC job there? You had a young family.
Yeah, I think it was a big-time security risk. I mean, you think about my wife and I were teachers. We had a mortgage payment, and went and I took a $13,000 a year job, no benefits. So you go from the security of, at the time, both of us were probably making close to, $90,000 to go to make $13,000 without much savings account. There's not much of a parachute there. And so, yeah, I mean, I think it was a risk for sure. But that's where the fun is, man. Taking risks and seeing if you got the right stuff. And it's been a heck of a 12-year journey for sure.
That was a good first year. Did you think, hey,
I thought college football was easy. I'd get the best quarterback on the planet and go win the national championship. So, yeah, I mean, that was a remarkable year. Man, I remember some of those stadiums were rocking and good players, lots of fun. Yeah, a lot of good stuff.
What do you're obviously very familiar with your hair and that
Yeah.
environment. I mean,
Yeah.
what can make that as tough a place to play as confidence for rookies?
It'll be interesting. I haven't been back since 13 when we played there when I was at Arkansas State. So they've made some additions relative to the video boards and all that stuff, but I just think it's the passion of the fan base. That eagle comes down and lands and that stadium gets going. So, we got to do a really good job for us to try to take the energy out early. We can't let them dictate the terms of the game. We really need to start fast. But, yeah, I mean, obviously what makes it tough is the student section. The fan base is right there and the passion of those fans.
How do you prepare, those younger guys? Obviously, a good environment at K-State, but, first SEC environment for some of them. How do you prepare them for that?
Yeah, I mean, that's what it's about. It's about building to it and taking a test, not doing what you want to do, learn from it, and then reapply it. So I think that's what we'll do. I'm not going to make it bigger than it is. I mean, it's a road game. We've played in some road games before. It just happens to be a lot of these guys' first time at this one. But won't make it bigger than that. Like, take what you learned from what you thought you did do well at K-State. What are the things that put us in a bad situation, and let's learn from it and go out there and try it again. That's what it is. Go try it again.
You mentioned on Saturday having to kind of go back maybe this week and evaluate the offensive line. What's that process look like this week and where are you at?
Yeah, I mean, we evaluate everybody each game, and that position, the inconsistency. I think the biggest challenge for us has been the penalties. We've had 13 offensive line penalties in the first 3 games, and that's not any one person's fault, but it's an alarming trend that needs to be fixed. And so it's about creating competition today and tomorrow and seeing who has the best week of practice, and whoever does will run out there on Saturday. And that's really, it's no deeper or more challenging than that. We can't have penalties. We cannot have negative yardage plays on first down when we're running the football. And who's going to take that off the tape?
Coach, Arkansas has got Auburn, has a good front seven. Your first team All-SEC guy in Derek Holloway. What does he do? What does he do well? Who are some other guys on their front that you're worried about this week?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, they've got a tremendous front four, I think, led by Derek Hall, no doubt, but Colby Wooden is a tremendous defensive tackle. I've been impressed with Marquise Burks. I think he's been a good player. Marcus Harris, I believe, is the transfer from Kansas. Iku Leota plays the field defensive end, who's really got length and rushes and bends well. Owen, and I don't want to mispronounce his last name, but a very physical third-year linebacker, plays downhill, can cover, can match up in coverage, can fit. And so that front seven is very talented. They've got a lot of experience. They play extremely physical. They got great size. I mean, they're what Auburn's played with on their front seven as long as I've ever remembered Auburn. And so it's a tremendous challenge for us to get the run game going. And, yeah.
Does the quality of that front seven sort of add urgency to figuring out some of the offensive line issues?
No, we got to figure out our offensive line issues because we got to figure out ourselves first. It's about us. We're going to play good opponents every week. Holding penalties don't have anything to do with your opponent. It has to do with having hands inside, being conscientious of not grabbing. False starts have nothing to do with going against a good defensive line. It has everything to do with understanding and having discipline and choosing to get off when you hear the snap count. So there's urgency because we have to get it fixed. But that's the reason.
Have you seen, your lines kind of take that competition head on and maybe, obviously go fix those?
Yeah, I mean, I think Sunday they recognized it, they saw it on tape, and then today we'll see the response.
You mentioned some of the tackling issues, especially first half. Considering, how big a deal? I know it's big every game, but with Tank Bigsby on the other side, is it even maybe a little bigger deal than some other times?
It's a big deal. If you're going to be a good defensive football team, the first man to the ball carrier needs to tackle and dictate leverage, and those were the issues that we weren't. It's one thing to miss a tackle, it's another thing to overrun a tackle, and now the rest of your other 10 players don't know how to fit off you. So we talk about, hey, you've got to dictate leverage for the other 10 players on the field, and that was the area that was really lacking. So our tracking angles were not good. That's a big deal regardless if you're playing Tank Bigsby or Jarquez Hunter or any of their running backs, because they're all really talented players. And it was a big deal Saturday because it let us, we got 3 third down conversions off. They got 3 third down conversions off of missed tackles, poor tracking angles. Was not anything else other than that. And so that's a point of emphasis today. That's a point of emphasis every day when we go out to practice, and it's something that we have to be focused on, and that's something that we control. Really doesn't have anything to do with your opponent. It has to do with you making sure you're tracking the near hip, understand the difference between a profile and a frontal, and use the proper techniques on a profile tackle. Make sure we understand the proper techniques on a frontal tackle. And if we can do those things, then whether it's Tank Bigsby or anybody else, you're going to be in the right position to make the play.
A breakout game like that on Saturday, what does that do for him confidence-wise and possibly mentally?
I think we've always had a lot of confidence in Dominic Lovett. I think it was good to see him and Brady connect on that deep ball because we'd seen it a bunch in practice, but we hadn't been able to put that on the tape. I mean, I guess in Kansas State we put that one on tape. So to see that continue to grow, obviously in the key third down, he made a very tough catch. That ball's on the back hip, which is a really difficult catch on a slant route. So I think it just creates confidence that there's players on the field that we can find. So, yeah, it just creates confidence. That when you make plays and you win, you create confidence. And that a belief in each other is what builds solid teams. A confidence in each other is what builds teams. And that's why you got to continue to grow.
Can you get more out of your defensive line? We haven't seen the tackles for loss or really big disruptive plays the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, I think that's been something that we've really been focusing on. Have not seen the chaos that we need to, and that's not just focused on the defensive line. Our linebackers have to hit gaps. We've got to create more disruption in our pressures, in our simulated pressures, and in our zero pressures. And so I think it's a combination of a lot of things. And again, those things usually have to do with just us and us executing and getting those things the way they need to go. But that's a great observation.
I know Brady's legs are running ability's been a big thing, and you don't want to take that away. But if you talk to him about when to slide at all, he appears to have taken a decent number of hits.
You want people to be tough, and you want people to display toughness, but you also want to. Gene Chizik used to talk about there's tough and dumb tough. All right, and we don't need to be dumb tough. We need to be tough. And so I think that's just the conversation with Brady is we need you to display toughness, especially at the quarterback position. We never want to take away his competitive toughness, but let's not be dumb tough.
Coach, playing a team that declined to name a starting quarterback for this week, does that alter your approach
Not at all, because again, it's not about who they put at the quarterback position. Every quarterback has some unique nuances, but for us, it's about, do we stay on top of wide receivers when they get vertical releases on 9 balls, or are we not in inviting those? Are we going to get penetration and disruption at the defensive line, which will cause them to be behind the chains, or are we not and let them stay ahead of the chains? Are we gap sound? Do we know who our quarterback player is? Those things really don't have anything to do with which guy's taking the snap. They're going to have somebody that takes the snap from the center. And whether it's any one of the talented quarterbacks they have, which they have plenty of talented quarterbacks, or whether or not they line up Tank Bigsby back there in a wildcat formation, there's going to be somebody back there that we have to be ready for. And that's what we're prepared for. We're prepared for all of that. And it's really not about them. It's about us.
Anything else for Coach? Thank you, sir.
Thank y'all. We'll see you down there.